Good evening, wizards, and welcome to episode 13 of Wizard Wednesdays. Now, I actually do not know where to truly begin with how incredible and how precise the prior week has been unfolding. And even the week before that, we've begun to see how things have truly been unfolding in the favor and projections I've been giving out over the past few weeks anyway. So let's kickstart off with what's been going on the past week or so, what we've been catching in terms of moves, the live trades you guys were all watching, what we were doing, how I was identifying these regions, and then more importantly, which is the major focus of this video, is what is going to occur over the next few days and of course by the end of the week. The biggest problem is we cannot predict the end of the week, obviously on a Wednesday, but because we've now seen 3 days worth pretty much of trading activity early on in the week, I think it's giving me a very big and key indicator as to what could be occurring, and I'm going to be giving you those scenarios as well of what we will be seeing moving over the coming weeks. So I do now believe this is truly going to be the big reversal many people have discussed in the market. The first reason being is this huge trend line is now officially broken. Even if you want to cheat and draw it from there to there, the trend line has broken and it has not been retested yet. So the first thing I want to do, especially on a weekly perspective, if I just get rid of this and keep it nice and clean, get rid of the Fibonacci for 1 second, we have now, this is my largest point to take into consideration, the precision, $8,800, as you can see there, tapped up, closed below, closed exactly in the same region, opened and did not even pull up to the exact same region. Spiked through, major stop loss hunt by the looks of it. We've seen it many times before. The first key principle to note of this weekly candle opening is the fact we did not even see a single wick attempt to retest. This for me, when you see candles opening and closing in this specific manner without a single wick, is a very big and key indicator that price will not be returning up to these highs anytime soon. The reason I say this is because when it opens so clean without a single wick, it means price has absolutely melted and it has now confirmed a major shift and takeover in a specific direction. And the same could also be said for a bullish candle closure as well. So whilst you may come back up to retest these regions at some point, I do not see us breaching these so-called yearly highs and bull run levels anytime soon. And this is where it's going to become as a bit of a shock to many of you, because I will now be reinstigating and continuing further with the same levels I've been telling you about since the very beginning, and the same levels I covered in the past analysis videos as well, including the latest one. So current weekly candle, what are we looking at here? And again, the main focus, as you know, for now is going to be on BTC and XRP. Anything else you want, Ether, Litecoin, they're a bit too confusing for me, and hopefully I've proven now in the past 7 days or so, even the past 10 days, how precise my calls are when I stay more in line and tuned with XRP and BTC. I can read the price action much clearer. I'm really in synchronization with the market right now. So we'll be going over those pullbacks and wick fishing regions and explanations as well. For many of you that are new, I introduced a new terminology called wick fishing, which is basically an new terminology for stop hunts, or a region where wicks could be attempted to be fished out by market manipulators to, of course, wipe out those stop losses. So the first thing that's kind of caught my eye here is the ascending wicks you've seen throughout this entire bullish rally. The euphoria, yet again, of all of these green candles. Nobody seemed to have realized there was going to be a pullback. And I know I originally preempted it around 6.6 around this region here, and we did see that extra movement higher. However, the overall theory still remains the absolute same. So looking at this level here, I did have a theory. I actually thought we would have breached around $9,600 in a final push higher to really wipe out the market and cause trickery. But what I've realized now is if we do close this weekly candle like this or even higher, I do believe it's now indicating a major turning point in the market, and the dreams of that so-called bull run and the continuation to yearly highs are over. I genuinely believe right now, if we do see this weekly candle closure like this, and even now it's looking pretty confirmed what could be occurring, I believe by the remainder of 2019 we will actually be back down below these regions here of the yearly lows, and potentially even lower. The same regions I called before. I know it sounds crazy, again, even in these current points in time. It even sounded crazy when I called it from $6,000. But I do truly believe this market could be witnessing one final drastic pullback before the bull run begins. Why am I saying this? This trend line that broke, it's never been retested. We have a downside trend line here, awaiting a third bounce as well. Realistically, even if we hit this level and rockets off, we are looking at a substantial level to confirm a bullish continuation, and it would cause a new higher low upon the yearly perspective anyway. So since the beginning of the year, even if we hit this trend line here and pulled all the way back up, we would start rocketing towards the likes of $13,000 and then $20,000 by the end of the year. But that's not a real focus for now. The main focus is where we are going to potentially be. If you look at the end of 2020, now my theory is we are going to see a bull run around the time of the BTC halving, which is in May 2020, around this region here. Now, if we take this into consideration, a bull run could be occurring, or that the market could at least begin to rise to accommodate for the obvious difficulty changes in the BTC mining rewards. When you take this into consideration around this region up here, it leads me to believe by 2020, which is here, if there is a way to mark that, I will mark that right there, give or take. Let's just say 2020 begins here. We now have this entire space. Now look at the same movement we've made here. Again, guys, this isn't FUD, FOMO, whatever people like to throw out there. I hate those terms. This is simple logic and just using key charting principles as I have throughout the whole period of time. Dragging this lower, looking at this here, even if it was to move in the same space of time, it could easily drop in the same movement back down to this level. Extend this further from a period of now to there, and where could price be by this point? If you were to extend this all the way down, then if you actually stretch this out from here to there, let's just go from there to there, stretch this out, and look at where price could potentially be within that same movement. If we were to mimic this and go gradually higher on a consistent basis, up to around there, and then we drag this down to here, you can see it does actually make pretty good sense. And one of the main levels I covered, ironically, is around $1,600. Now, I'm not saying we're going to fall straight down here, or this is a huge possibility, but it is actually very likely to occur at some point if this market does pull back lower. When you're looking from a weekly perspective here, it does look like we have potentially found the floor. And again, whilst breaking through these levels, then by all means, that is most definitely going to be a rally up to $12,000 and beyond. But I'm not too confident on that happening right now. So putting this perspective into play, I do believe there could be a huge market reversal and a retest of this broken trend line here, going anywhere from the likes of $3,000 and below. My first real downside targets upon this closure, and I will get to the weekly closure in a second as well. We're looking at $6,000 by the end of the week, or the beginning of next week. I'll get to that in a second. From 6,000, I'm looking at around $4,600 to 4,700, give or take within this region here. We have some moving averages here as well. And from there, I do believe we could actually break the yearly lows and be around this $2,000 to $1,000 region by the end of the year. We're talking September onwards, maybe a little bit later, moving into October, November, before absolutely rocketing and breaking out through the early phases or the end of 2019. That's one of my theories, and I'm going to leave that out there. Before, I just said it was possible, but now I'm going to give a more accurate ideology and theory behind why I believe this is going to happen in preparation for the bull run. So this is really what's been lingering on my mind for a very, very long time now. And judging from what's going on, we've now seen the official reversal. I did say by the end of the week, it was looking very possible. I did think it was still going to happen. I just thought we were going to hit 9,600 first, because the theory was, once you start nearing those psychological numbers of $10,000, for example, what you are potentially looking at is the mainstream media shifting the bias to bullish. It's entirely bullish at this point. The headlines are suddenly saying $10,000, $100,000 BTC next. The public goes crazy. The average Joe and even the investors who are a bit more calculated, they start fearing that FOMO and they start jumping on board before manipulating the market lower. So by all means, there could be possibilities of this upside region, but I'm really not confident on that anymore. And I'm most definitely factoring in a bearish trend reversal now for the remainder of 2019. So I'm going to boldly state that and open that out. As I said, the more the market starts moving in synchronization with my projections and calls, as they have been for the past week or so, for me, by all means necessary, this is a big wake-up call that it could be occurring. Looking at the $9,000 region there as well, you can see a closure below, a quick spike to stop hunt around this region. You can only imagine how many people entered short here and there as well. Whipped through $9,000, psychological resistance, round number, bang, candle absolutely melts. Now, what else is backing up this theory? Let's make this line thicker. Let's just change that to green to indicate a new year. Maybe not, let's just make it blue. Let's leave that there. Nice and clear indicator of 2020. The first thing we need to take into consideration is the weekly rally. We've seen it here. I'm going to use this as a good example. The wicks on the descending side, continuously inclining. We hit this level, huge indecisive candle. Yet again, another reason why I consistently say we have to focus on the weekly candle closures and not try and time those intraday movements. Look at the precision on that level. If you actually look at the grid line in precision with that level, it cannot get any clearer than that. That is a key indicator of a reversal, as we have seen many other weeks, just exactly there and also up there as well. Many key turning points in the market have had very precise openings and closings in similar instances, and this is no different. When you take into consideration these lower spectrums of the wicks, we have actually now annihilated this lower end of the wick and broken lower, further proving what I do believe to be, again, this is how I'm now viewing this market. There's two scenarios I believe that could be unfolding for the remainder of the week, but I am going to just throw it out there very boldly and say I do believe this is the reversal now. So looking at this wick, we've now broken this wick. We've now invalidated this higher high wick on a weekly perspective. Going down to the daily, key region here, head and shoulders, could potentially be forming to indicate one of the biggest reversals in this market thus far, minus the 2017 bull run. Looking at this key region of liquidity, my main focus for now is by the end of the week and even by the next few days, potentially reaching this level here. Now, going back to this weekly perspective here, this wick that's been broken, I believe this will now be retested at some point here, as it's a critical level, and that was a main indicator for many people as a new ascending wick to potentially continue higher. But that's now been completely wiped out. So using this as a little guidance and looking at how this weekly candle closure could occur, we are looking at two different scenarios. We're either going to be closing very, very bearish as we are now, to really confirm that final movement in the market, mirroring how prior price action has worked upon a weekly candle closure like this, which engulfs the prior candle as this one would, dragging this over there to where it closes even now or so. We are looking at approximately $8,000, give or take, to around $7,950. Now, should we be closing, let's just say the week around this level here, around 7-8, let's just say we just now manipulate and consolidate for the remainder of the week. I believe this would validate a pretty precise retest, even if we push up to the likes of $8,000 to $8,100, which is what I've stated just over here in the Telegram, as you can see. Let me just go down. So again, guys, just taking into consideration as well these pullbacks and these wick fishing levels. I'll cover that properly in a minute. Looking at downside threats, that was quick. It happened literally half an hour later. I'm providing these regions for you to show you in advance that when I find cautions in the market, it's very likely actually going to unfold. And again, these wick fishing and pullback regions, they are not to be used as a method of, let's just say, getting out of a trade or trying to scalp left, right, center. But what you can do is accommodate these potential pullbacks to move your stop losses into profit or break even. So if it reverses against you, all you would simply do is close out in a profit or break even and re-enter again. If not, you put your stop loss to break even or take profit and catch a short or a long in the opposing direction that I've called the pullback or wick fishing region, then you're making money on both sides if they come through. And again, as long as those stop losses are in profit, you are never losing. And as I showed you through, hopefully one of the most transparent things you've seen in the crypto market so far, from the identification to the entire process, I showed you how to trade, how to adjust stop losses, trade management, absolutely everything that was covered. So here I covered as well, just to show, mentioning these wick fishing regions, awaiting this 1H candle to confirm further upside. I did say spike region around potentially 7.3 to 7.2, and then I will await the 1H candle to confirm. If not, we are looking to go back to our first targets of $8,000 to $8,200. Now, once we go from that point onwards, we can potentially look at around 8,400. So going back over to the charts, we're looking at the $8,000 to $8,200 region. What's going on right now if I go back to the 1 hour time frame? As I said, the 1H candle confirmed it. I told you to be careful of a pullback. We saw the pullback. Now we've blown through the roof exactly after that 1H candle. We have 14 minutes left on this candle. We did not even see a single drawdown on that candle. It absolutely rocketed towards what is potentially going to be the first target of around even intraday levels. We're looking at this retest here. I do believe this will be pushing to the $8,000 and the $8,100 region very shortly as well. So paying special attention to this, the 4-hour candle as well, rejecting that huge long-term moving average on the 4-hour rejection, pulled back to wick fish around this region. As you can see, a perfect example of wick fishing right here. Wick pulled down, fished around the prior wicks and the prior body. Now we're pushing back up. So absolutely incredible and a very precise movement on that call there as well. And even if you took that trade from where I called it, you would be up over $100 in BTC movement already. So pretty phenomenal trade scenario coming through. I did say be cautious if you are going to take the entrance here, have a wide stop loss. And again, that showed very well that even if you put your stop loss in profit here, it pulled back, closed you out, and my goodness, is this thing absolutely rocketing. So taking this into consideration and what's going on for the week ahead, I'm hoping now everything I've been saying has shown that I'm not a crazy bear. I'm not here to try and dump the market. I have no influence over the market. I'm not a powerful figure by any means in that way, but I do have a bit of logic to be applied here. I'm trying to show you that as good as it is to see the beautiful green days, and there was nothing I would love more than to see this thing just break out towards $20,000, $50,000, I have to detach from my personal gain and benefit in the market by having a long-term portfolio and intraday opportunities. And the good thing is with margin trading, it separates the emotions because you know you can profit from the downside as well. Hence why I've been showing the downside possibilities and the margin trading aspects of all of this as well. So on a weekly perspective, I do believe we've peaked for the remainder of this week around this level here. And I do believe going over to the daily now, even if we see a daily candle closure like this, how it is now or back below here, I do believe by tomorrow we should be seeing that rocket ship towards the likes of $8,000 to $8,200. So $8,200 up to 8.4, huge head and shoulders forming. We have the shoulders here. Going over here, we have the potential shoulder forming by the end of the week. Now, if that is to happen, that would push price back up to here. So we've still pulled below, we've still engulfed this wick. Now we can start preparing for a potential test and a pullback, if not a straight pullback down to these regions. In a worst case scenario, I think this could start maxing out around the likes of $8,400. Until then, now we've broken below this region, as you can see, all the way back down. So if anything, do you remember this original level we predicted to be the potential pullback region? I believe we've shot straight through, stop loss hunted, and now slammed back below. So we could be testing this lost ground around here, maybe even testing the wick around 8.5, 8.6. But overall, I'm hoping you're gathering the overall picture here that we should be testing these high 8,000s to mid 8,000s before continuing this trend much lower. On top of this, going over to the daily, here is why we need at least a significant pullback. And here is why I now believe the trend to be over. Huge upside trend. First thing I can do is draw this from there to there. If I really need to, we have hit that trend line technically right there. However, make that a bit more precise. We have technically hit, if I just adjust this, sorry, no, we haven't, we've broken. We've broken, so we could even retest around 8.1, which is the first target. From there, it could just be spikes up to here before closing back below. But overall now, we've broken the first trend line. We could be pulling back up. If the week ends around the 8th of June, I believe it is, or the, what is it today? The 5th, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we would be ending the week on the 9th. So the 9th is around here. So very easily could be taking a few days to reach this level, but it could be unfolding. And with this current candle closure, I do truly believe we are going to see those regions being met. Taking this a level further and a step further. Do apologize for that background noise. That's my coffee machine. I don't know what it's doing. But we also have this trend line here. Now, this is a crucial one for me because this was the current momentum from the likes of around 16th of May. So we're almost a whole month ahead of this current region. We've now snapped through, slammed below, tested this region, and bearing in mind, we had the higher low here. Getting this head and shoulders out the way for 1 second. Again, guys, can you see how many confluences are now occurring that has made me even more confident that we are going to see a final test? The bulls will think this is a continuation most likely, but I do believe it's going to be a simple wickfish rejection, confirm this broken ground, and then bang, we are going to the 6,000s, the 5,000s, the 4,000s, the 3,000s, and potentially lower. So now it's starting to actually unfold in real time. I'm hoping I do not seem as crazy as I did before, and I was actually trying to just provide some logic all along. So we want to fix this trend line a little bit further, make it a bit more precise with these three confluences here, we are looking at by the 9th of June, we could easily be back at 8.7. However, if this does fulfill very early on in the week, then we can start adjusting further from there. So I do not want to throw out too many weekly candle closure scenarios until we actually see potential further upside confirmation, because if this thing just snaps lower now, we will completely have to recalculate. So the main focus for me right now is a potential pullback. I do believe the downside momentum for the current time being has now come to an end. I do believe this is the final movement from the downside push for right now. I believe we'll see some volatility a little bit here and there, give or take, but it's looking pretty promising. So looking at this right now, potential pullbacks, whatever, I do think this could slowly start inclining. And again, we have a nice little trend line here to take into consideration as well, should we start inclining higher. So letting that unfold how it should be. The next weekly candle scenario is, so again, trendline retest well, sorry, let's go back to that on the daily. Even if it were to close by tomorrow and it just taps this region, that would mean for me, if we fulfill, the quicker we fulfill this, the lower the potential weekly candle would be closing. If we take a bit longer, then I do believe it will close up here by the end of the week, by the 9th of June. And then from there, we will just see some wick fishing around here and then slam all the way back down to the ground. So this is a very clear break of a massive trend for me right now, confirming that lower high as well and the lower low. So looking at it this way, daily time frame. First, we broke through, the trend's getting higher, 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 low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, high, higher, high, higher, high, higher, high, stop hunt, bang, lower high, pull back down. Okay, what happens here? Can we hold this level? It held there, it looks pretty promising, and then that's when I called the pullback. It just didn't seem too promising. That's why I called that 7,000 region. Bang, breakthrough. We no longer have the higher low. We now have a lower low forming upon this region. So I do believe now, once I get this week, was it the weekly? I think it was the weekly. So marking these regions out, again, if you are in the long positions right now, you pretty much could put your stop losses in profit already, to be honest with you. And then if it does tap below, so again, this is what I mean about risk management, very easy principles. Let's say you entered, I'll leave this here for now. Let's say you entered here, exactly where I said the potential closure. So we saw the closure there, sorry. So let's just say now you're targeting around 8.2 at a push, or you want to push to this level here, or even up to $8,000. But let's just say you're going for the full whack of 8.4 if we see that region met. Your stop loss realistically, because of the level we were at and because of the confirmed closure, if you entered the first situation around here, which I stated, your stop loss would have had to have been around here. But upon pulling higher, all you could have done was move that stop loss up to here. Price pulls back, wipes you out, pulls lower, you now have a better entry here, exactly where I said the reversal would begin from. Now that price has pulled a bit higher, you move your stop loss to break even. Now you can even move it into a little bit of profit or where that wick is. So worst case scenario, it pulls back, it closes you out in a little bit of profit, taps the trend line again, or even breaks a bit lower, rejects here. You now enter from here instead, or there instead. So it's a very common theory. It does not mean you're wrong. It just means you're entering and refining those entries. That is the way I get my very precise sniper entries. I'll very frequently have to close them out in a either tiny loss, break even, or even a profit until they're perfectly refined. But 90% of the time they come through in the first go. But if they do seem a little bit fishy or price looks like it's going to pull back, I'm going to provide those levels. I am not providing both sides of the market. I am simply saying, this is a good example as well. Let's say I was covering the likes of 7.3 to 7.2. If price was to spike down to this region and I've covered this level as a potential threat, all you would be doing upon covering this is still identifying the same targets upside as I stated. But if you saw a break below, your stop losses would already be in profit from here. It closes you out in profit or break even. It dips down to this level and all you would do is buy again here. Now you've lost nothing from this scenario. You've now entered at an even better entry and your upside targets are still valid. So I've just been really trying to stress this as much as possible and try and explain this in an easy way. But because I haven't done a video, I guess it hasn't been too easy to understand. So that's my current thesis on the market. Looking at this as well, BTC, guys, this region here is just a key bingo zone for me. Even 8.4, this could happen by the end of the day for all we know. But I do think it could likely happen tomorrow, especially with this current candle. Wouldn't be surprised to see it close like this, see some more wick fishing around these lovely levels, and then from there we just boom straight to the upside. Look at this, rejections, start pulling back lower. So the biggest key identification for now is no matter how long it takes, once we start seeing a pullback, if we do, and we start seeing this trend line being met, we can start to close out those long positions 100%. Again, good example, you start seeing price breaking to 8 to 8.1. First profit taking region would absolutely be here. Now, guys, I'm trying to do these as close to the launch of the Wizard Wednesdays, 8 p.m. UK time as possible. So we are getting as much close to real life action as possible. So I am doing these very close to time, and sometimes I have to talk a little faster than normal because I want you to have the closest to the current price action possible versus doing it the day before or in the morning and then all these crazy market movements has happened. And that's why I've been so up to date on the market, because I'm here 24/7 right now on this desktop, so I'm able to provide all of these key levels. So what are we looking at? We're looking at this region here. So first profit taking zone for me would be around $8,000 to $8,100. I mean, taking out 20%, 30% of the position, letting the rest ride up to potentially here. And then along the way as well, another stop loss management tactic. Let's say you've entered here, your stop loss is there, price starts breaking out to your first target, stop loss goes up. Price starts breaking higher, stop loss goes up. As you start nearing your target and you know you're close, you can either close out manually or just drag that stop loss so close to the current price action, you are not losing anything and you are saturating everything out of the market. So that way, in a quick pullback, you can close out in a profit. And then when price rejects or does anything else like wick fishing, you simply enter short. So I do think upon this movement here in this correction and this retest, what could follow from there? We have the head and shoulders, guys. It just looks too beautiful right now to ignore. So yes, I said beautiful because it does look beautiful. So I am taking this all into consideration. This level here, rejection is where profits will then be taken. And then from here, we can start identifying huge short positions. I'm talking swing trades that we could be holding if this succeeds, bearing in mind looking at how these movements have handled before. I've shown you this many times over, and looking at what price can do in an existing still bearish market. I've stated this so many times. We are in a bearish market. I do not care how much we have ran up over this period here. Going over to the monthly, what part of this current market looks like a huge bull run to you? Many people are saying we've reached these levels much faster than we would do in the bull run. But then again, these levels as well, looking at how they currently are, by all means, if we do start breaking through, then yes, we are looking at a very promising end to 2019. So it's not being disregarded by any matter whatsoever. Let's get rid of that. I'm not disregarding it by any means, but I am just being a bit logical in understanding it could be a simple trap to pull us lower one last time, tap these regions and absolutely fly higher. Remember, guys, I do not gain anything by saying it's going to go lower besides potentially catching short opportunities. There is no benefit to me. It's not like my followers are all going to dump the market and it's going to work in my favor. All of crypto Twitter, they say things like, you're saying this because you missed out or whatever, but no, because I've been dollar cost averaging for many years now, so I have not missed out on anything. The only thing that would happen in that instance is, actually no, let's just forget that. If I was to say it's going to fall, and the argument is that, let's just say, I'm only saying this because I missed out and I want price to go lower. Me saying it's going to fall lower isn't going to convince those who manipulate the market to drop the market down to $1,000 because Torre, aka Crypto Wizard, wants price to fall lower. So they're going to do that just for me, to benefit me. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't work like that. Even with 100,000 followers on Twitter or whatever, you wouldn't have that influence on the market, unfortunately. So it's all manipulated. It's all insider trading. We are reading price patterns here. We are not going off our own bias. There is no ego. There is no attachment. It's simply trying to read and decipher what manipulation will be happening next. So the only reason I even showed those live trades was to just show you a little insight into how to make sense of what I'm trying to project. It's a whole different strategy to what you've probably seen many people do. Just to show some transparency as well, show you it's live trades, real money, several thousands were made, several thousands were lost in the process, but made back. We still closed the week on a positive as well. So it's all about showing you a bit of transparency and a realistic insight that the majority of this market fails to show you. So putting that aside, looking at XRP, again, I am going mostly off BTC right now, but looking at this as well, XRP, the same principles do apply. We've had whatever, it's the golden cross that really annoys me, but we have that alleged golden cross, I think, whatever it's called. I don't even know if these moving averages are considered the golden cross. I've never looked into the golden cross. I'm not really bothered about it, but we have this here. So the real red flag for me is we've actually broken one of the key trend lines here, rejected, pulled back. So I am looking at another rejection around 0.42. That would be the first real upside target for me for the likes of XRP. However, if we actually drag this more to the daily levels for a bit more precision, you can see here this lines up quite nicely with that sweet spot of around 0.44. So many people are asking me, is 0.44 still on the cards? And if you look at that 9th of June region here, well, by all means, it could even be rallying up to here, meet it early on in the week, consolidate a little bit, and then slam down for the rest of the week. So 30-minute and 1 hour perspective, again, could see a little pullback there, but it is looking pretty solid for now to continue higher. If we start breaking lower, I will obviously make a video straight after this and completely reevaluate everything. But for now, the reason I said do not buy here and just wait for this breakout here is so we can start catching more potential movements in the market. Unlike this pullback, which has actually held the same levels, this one annihilated that level. And that's why I said get out of the market and do not enter longs yet until we hopefully see potential pullbacks. Because upon an instant pullback in the market, everyone tries to catch these immediate reversals back to where it was. But after seeing it happen the first time and working out well, it's very unlikely it will work out the second time. So many people here wouldn't have even profited if they bought here from the pullback. They wouldn't have closed out because they would have been trying to go for that high. The market comes back very quickly to humble you in those instances. So looking at the current pullbacks and the correction in the market, could be seeing some more regions around here, even 0.38 potentially being tapped, but looking at a huge rocket ship to the upside. I have a new trend line in mind as well for XRP. So taking all these regions into consideration, where would XRP be? So first of all, weekly trend line, that was a major factor for me. We didn't actually meet it in the end, which is pretty cool, which is a good promising sign. But we also have that 61.8 there, A, B, precise that down a little bit more. Guys, I've been saying XRP could very well fall to 20 cents and even a little bit lower if BTC drops by the end of the year. This Fibonacci for me is painting a huge picture. And if not, I now have to extend this out anyway because of this wick here. I am easily expecting at least 30 cents by the end of the year. And I believe that's very possible to be occurring. I believe by the end of next week, we should be around 0.35, dipping a little bit lower by the week after that. We could even be seeing the likes of 0.30 within 2 weeks as well. So looking at how the end of the year could be going, even if it takes several months or several weeks, I do believe we're going to be seeing in terms of downside targets next around 35 cents and then 30 cents, looking from there at around 28 to 25 cents and then dropping down to the likes of 20 cents and potentially lower. That's what's on my mind right now. We've technically made a new lower high as well from the huge swing over there. Ignoring this, putting this aside, this could be another huge movement on a downside pullback. So by all means, we can start projecting these regions. I'm just saying this with not 100% confidence. I'm saying this around 90% confidence. And again, the only reason I'm saying this now is because every single indicator, look at this target. Remember I said if we broke above, we might see some wick fishing towards the trend line. We saw it, it closed even lower this week and slammed down. By all means, looking at how these weekly candles have landed before on this moving average here, they may spike up again. They may go for it next week. That's what I'm saying. If we close bearish this week, we may see the pullback next week before pulling lower. But overall now, we can get to that on an intraday perspective when the time is right. But the main focus for here is I'm stating from now all of these downside targets are going to be coming into play. So you can be catching swing trades, for example, from, let's just say it pulls back to here. And my goodness, we do not want anything like that. You could even have a swing from down to there to there. Let's just say the likes of 20 to 30 cents. Still a huge movement. You're looking at around 1,300 pips on a margin trading perspective. Dropping down from there on a daily perspective or a 1 hour perspective, that's when you can start catching those intraday moves as well. Because remember, the pullback regions I give you, they're not just to catch swing trades. You can literally catch a movement like this, make a quick 300 pips and then carry on alongside having the main positions running as well. So altogether for me, the pieces to the puzzle are slowly being painted. Going over to BTC, what are we looking at over the next few weeks in terms of targets? Well, let's get this trend line out the way. Because of how this wick is now closed, let's get this out the way. Let's get that out the way. It's very annoying. I do believe, looking at these wicks over here, to be honest with you, by the end of next week, we could be dipping to around 6,800. That could be a peak for the next week. It could be even lower. But I do believe by next week, we should be seeing that region here. Key level, key level rejected around 7,100 to around 6,800. So let me just dip that down a little bit. This region here for me is a crucial region to be met upon the next week or so. This could cause a little pullback by a little bit here, maybe tapping up from the following week there, closing and rejecting this region. So where we are now, here's how I'll label this. This is the best way to explain what I think could be unfolding over the next few weeks. Potentially tapping, so we're looking at this candle here, moving 1 week ahead, which is down here. By next week, we're looking at potentially here, around 6,825, give or take, maybe lower, maybe higher, but around this region seems sufficient. I believe from there, by next week, let's move one over, we pull back up, potentially reject this region of around 7,500. I'm not saying we'll close here, we could do, and then the next week we'll follow over anyway. If not, I believe we'll be testing this region around here upon breaking lower of this wick and plummeting all the way down. From there, that's when we start identifying $6,000 next, and then dropping all the way down to the likes of 4,600 to 4,400, give or take, even 4,000 on the dot. So this trend line here is a big region of caution for me. And guys, once we start hitting these levels, if we do, then nobody can actually call me crazy anymore. And we can actually start understanding that dropping below yearly lows is a very, very possible scenario. So again, let's let this weekly candle unfold for now. As we progress through the week, there'll be further updates. But I'm just hoping that at least 5% of you can see this perspective now that I've been trying to state for a while. The bullish rally did continue a little further than expected, but the pieces are really starting to unravel themselves. So just to throw out as well, of course, we need some upside targets should we continue exploding higher by any means necessary. For XRP, if you really want to start breaching higher, we're just looking at the highs for now. And of course, upon breaking this trend line is also a crucial indicator. If we were to rocket back up here by any means necessary, then yes, we could start looking at potentially breaking through, rejecting around 0.46, and that would then take us to around 53 cents first to 54. That would be my first upside target upon a breakout. But again, none of that's really a focus for me right now. Let's just say we break higher from here and we start breaking these highs. We would simply come down to reject around $9,000 to $8,800, and then because $8,800 is exactly where we've closed. So if there was to be a breakout within the next week or two and it just rockets all the way back up, you're looking at a break and a peak of around $9,200, pulling back to reject around $8,800 before continuing to $12,000. I wouldn't even say that $10,000 is a key psychological level, but I believe if we were to start breaking through these levels, it wouldn't hold too well. We would just break straight through, reject again, and rally up to $12,000. So unless we do see that breakout coming, for me, that's not a concern for now. Even if we see, I'm more confident to actually start calling these upside levels once I see a healthy pullback. So if I can even see around $6,000 met, then by all means, I'll start considering what could be a huge potential market reversal. So even if we don't see these regions, again, this is only a possibility I'm throwing out. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it does make very good sense. But for me, ideally, in the best case scenario, let's just get rid of these levels for now. Let's say all of these have been met, we've wiped them out. Again, if you want to refer back to these in the coming weeks or days to see if this actually fulfills, once we break below this level, hopefully, then you never know, it could become absolutely precise. But a key level for me here is this zone. Let's just say we tap. We reject, we consolidate a little bit, we hit $6,000. Very likely and very possible. By all means, if we start hitting $6,000, then we can actually start preempting a very early reversal in the market as well. We could simply be breaking and retesting newly broken ground, and then from there we could be rocketing higher. But again, we save that until the time comes, because right now it looks like price could be heavily ready to correct. That is a huge weekly reversal. It's taken 3 weeks for me to wait for this to unfold. I stated it pretty much would, besides potentially pushing that $9,600 region. But here we are, all unfolding in real time, exactly as predicted. We are looking like we are going to be seeing a huge bearish trend reversal. So for now, that is my main bias. That's my main focus. I will stick to that for the time being, unless we see something revolutionary. But 1 hour time frame for now. If you're holding those longs, already looking pretty solid on this side as well. So I may even try and upload this quicker than 8 p.m. if possible, just so you can catch the full analysis and breakdown as well. And guys, regardless, I'm going to be here until I move to another location around Saturday, Sunday. So I will be doing live updates on the charts as much as possible, some more videos as well. The internet's a bit faster where I am over here, so I'll be doing as much as possible in the given space of time. So I hope this has helped. I hope this has cleared up a lot of things. I hope this has helped explain absolutely what's been going on in my mind for weeks now, when many people couldn't see it as a possibility. So now we've been seeing those sharp pullbacks and it's been unfolding, you can start to realize now that it's showing a bit more of a resilience towards the upside of what could be occurring next. So all of these factors in consideration, guys, I think we have a huge year ahead of us, and ideally the lower this thing falls, the bigger the bull run will be moving into the next year. So let's see how this unfolds for the time being. I'm hoping this all comes into fruition. Is that the correct way to say it? A reality. I'll just say that. It's a lot easier. I'm tired. I need a coffee. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed Wizard Wednesdays, and I hope this has been one of the more impactful ones so far. Have a good Wednesday, and I'll see you in the Telegram shortly.